What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Vanguard Zone. My name is Sam, and today we are talking about one of my favorite decks in Overdress. And we're talking, of course, about Zorga. My favorite deck. Got some new tools in set 2, got a lot of new orders, some new cards to help with the game plan. Unfortunately, in the overall meta, I think it is kind of a weaker deck. It's still a 3 attack deck. It gets big columns, but I think compared to the rest of the deck, it just doesn't do enough to keep up. Now, I want to shout out Kuroneko on Twitter for coming up with the inspiration for this list. A list that focuses on recycling orders more than just trying to maximize the number of orders. Instead, we're trying to recycle them once we use them. So with that being said, let's get into it. We'll start with the ride line. It's your traditional ride line. We have Ranker Chain, Soul Blast 1, draw 2 cards on Vanguard Circle, discard an order. If you can't, draw 2 cards. We have Black Tears has Dragon in order to pick up the order once we discard it. And of course, our main grade 3, Zorga. Counterblast 1, return a unit from the graveyard to the battlefield, and when you cast an order, Alchemagic it, which is, combine the orders, pay both costs, and then do the effects front to back. So our game plan is simple. Make big columns, cast orders every turn, recycle them to continue to cast the orders, and hopefully win the game that way. For the main deck, we run 3 more Zorga because Persona Ride, it's really good, and it helps us get those big columns along with this next card, which is Grief, Despair, and Rejection. We play 3 copies. You can play 2. I think this is still the most important order in the deck. Gives us plus 10k to 3 units if our Vanguard is Zorga, so we want to hit really hard with Persona Ride. In this, we can be hitting with 33k, 38k units before boosts and all of that, so very, very strong order. Moving on to the new grade 3 order that we got, which is Regurgitation from the Underworld. For a Counterblast and a Soul Blast of 1, you can choose any player's rearguard, retire it, then choose one of your rearguards in your drop zone, bring it back to the battlefield. If you Alchemagic, you can choose 2 rearguards to bring back instead of 1. A really good card. It can retire units on our opponent's side. It can help us replay rear guards from our side of the battlefield as well, so we can abuse ETBs pretty easily. So that's a really good card. It's a little bit costly when you do it with other orders, but we have ways to reduce the cost of our orders, so that's really nice. We run 1 Cursed Soul, Squirming in Agony. It's Soul Blast 2. Look at the top 4 cards, call 1, put the rest in the graveyard. If you Alchemagic, call 2 instead, and every unit called with this order gets plus 5k. So this is a card that we want to play. Just one of. It's good to help us mill our deck and get some units in the early game, and if we don't see many in our initial mills, so that's a nice card to have still. Just that one though. We run 1 Shield Fisher Dragon, the 18k grade 3 that can't attack unless you called a card from other than hand. We play this for the Regurgitation. If we're retiring an opponent's grade 3, we want a card to call with it, so you have this card to call on if we retire an opponent's grade 3. We run 4 of the Inheritance Maiden Hendrina. On place, we can mill 3 from the top of our deck. It's a May, which is really nice, so we don't have to. And then we can retire her to negate all Soul Blast cost of our next Alchemagic. Really good. It saves situations. We can clear it to make room for better rear guards in the later game. Just an insane card and definitely worth 4 of. We run 1 Fleet Swallower. When it attacks, you can Soul Blast 1, and it gets plus 5k if you Alchemagic. And then when your opponent would call cards from their hand to the guard circle, they must call 2 or more at a time. We also combine that with the Nectar Sensations, which is choose one of your rear guards, and until end of turn, it gets plus 5k for every 5 cards in your drop zone. If there are 15 or more cards in your drop, it gets a crit. So you play this late in the game, you have 15 to 20 cards in your drop zone. It's 15 to 20k extra with a crit, which makes it really hard to guard. Hopefully on top of your other rear guard columns, which are also swinging for massive. So it's your finisher in the deck. Really good finisher too. I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's done a lot of work for me. We run 2 Ghost Chase. This card, unfortunately, we mill things that we don't intend to mill, like our over trigger, like Zorgas, and we can call them back and bounce them back with Ghost Chase. You choose a unit, it gets plus 5k, and then choose another unit that's not being attacked and return it to your hand. Still a really strong card in the deck, and definitely still worth playing. Now, keep in mind, we can't Alchemagic it, but if we end up exiling it somehow, or put it in our graveyard, we have ways to get that back now. We did not in set 1. We run 3 Rogue Headhunters. On place, you can reduce your next Alchemagic by Counterblast 1, which is really nice. And when you play an order this turn, it gets plus 5k. So it's a 13k booster. Can be an attacker if you're really desperate, but it's mostly there to reduce the counterblast of your Alchemagics, a staple going forward in this deck, I believe. We run 2 Spiritual Body Condensations. Soul Blast 1, choose a card with a grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from your soul and call to regard. It gets plus 5k. Monster Reborn, just another way to get cards back from our graveyard. Help us fill our field and get stronger. We run 1 Sleeve Tugging Bell. This is part of our recycle package. When she's placed, you may put all of your cards in your bind zone back into your drop zone, and she gets plus 5k for every card put in the drop zone. So when we have a lot of cards in the bind zone, we can bring her out and bring those cards back so we can Alchemagic them again, and she gets really strong too, so win-win. Very good card. We play 1 Fairy of Tragic Love. When the unit that she boosted hits, you combine her, return a card from your bind zone back to your hand. So some good on-hit pressure and just another way to get our orders back to our hand. And then we run 1 Overcome the Unnatural Death. It's an order, Counterblast 1, bind this card, choose up to 2 order cards from your drop zone and put them into your hand. This is the one that can get Ghost Chase back, which is pretty nice. But just if we're running low on orders, we can play this and get some orders back to our hand so we can continue to Alchemagic each turn. And then we have to bind the Alchemagic card as well as this, but we have Sleeve Tugging Bell to get her back, to get this card and the other card back into the drop zone. So really nice out of 1 of. We run 4 Perfect Guards. Perfect Guards are good. You should play 4 of them. And then our trigger lineup, we're running the Stoicheia over trigger because there's just so much value off of getting every trigger in 1, so we definitely want to run this. We run 8 critical triggers because we already hit very hard, so we want to have crit pressure to add to all of that power we're gaining. We run 3 of the new fronts in set 2. 20k shields are really nice. Also can help us gain extra power on top of all this power we're gaining, but mostly we're playing it for extra defense. And then, of course, 4 heal triggers, because healing's good. So that's the deck. Zorga's in a really interesting spot, where I feel like it's moving closer to kind of a Highlander build, where you're only playing 1-ofs a lot. There's a few exceptions, like Hendrina I don't think will go away, Zorga won't go away, I think Rogue Headhunter is here to stay, but I think the rest of the cards can be swapped out or cut down to 1-ofs as we get more cards in this deck. And hopefully one of those cards is a multi-attacker, because I think that's what will make this deck shoot up in the tier list, if you will. Now, that's my deck. What'd you think? If I am wrong, leave a comment. I will also post the deck list inspiration in the comments as well. Thank you to Kuroneko for the inspiration. Thank you to you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.